What's up, everybody? This is Brian Tichy, and you're listening to Stalwarts of Music.
Hi, Brian. Namaste. Welcome to Stalwarts of Music with Aditya Veera, Season 4. It is indeed a privilege to have you on this all new season of Stalwarts of Music. How are you doing, and which part of the world are you in?
Cool. Hello. I'm well. I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Amazing, amazing. And
It's amazing.
I have
It's
a
amazing
lot.
I'm still here.
Sorry?
It's amazing I'm still here. Still alive and kicking in LA.
Of course, of course. Yeah. Well, before we get started, I wanted to kind of understand from you as to are there any new releases that you'd like to specifically talk about so that I can bring it up in the course of our interview?
Yeah, I guess as far as releases, the newest one worth mentioning is Michael Schenker's newest
Okay,
release called My Years in
right.
UFO, I believe, and I did most of the drums on that, and I will be going to Japan with him in January, which is really cool.
Amazing, amazing, cool. I will be sure to bring it up. Alrighty.
And I'm doing a solo record, finally. I'm getting
Wow.
that together. So yeah, that's
Wow,
another
wow. Let's
those are
talk about that as well. Yeah, that'll be a
yeah,
very, very, very interesting topic to discuss. Yeah,
cool.
awesome. So, Brian, I'd like to start going back in time. Firstly, you were born in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
and you were pretty young back in the 70s, and the music scene was exploding in that part of the world. Do you recall any early memories, perhaps through family or older friends, as to what was the music scene around like at that point in time?
Uh I was young in the 70s, so the first things that come to mind would be A, what my dad was playing in the
Okay,
house,
okay,
B, what my friends were listening to,
uh-huh,
and C, what you hear on the radio. It pretty much covers it right there. No internet,
yeah,
you know, no
yeah,
social media.
right,
Just tape sharing eventually, cassette tape sharing. You'd make
yeah,
cassette tapes and off your friends, or they'd make them for you, or vice versa. But yeah, my dad was hardcore Beatles.
oh,
Beatles, yeah,
nice,
crank the Beatles. Also love the Eagles.
mm,
Uh, yeah, and Beach Boys and all that kind of the older rock.
okay,
And yeah, and my friends were into the current stuff.
yeah,
And the radio played what the radio played, the rock radio, which was
right,
a wide variety of stuff.
mm,
And as far as radio goes, it was pretty amazing back then because it wasn't really just what the radio played. It was what bands were putting out was at such a high level in the 70s.
mm,
I still think the 70s, that's my favorite decade of music. And I just think for different reasons, by the time the 70s hit, bands were, two things were happening. Live shows were getting bigger and more well put together with sound systems and just the whole organization of live shows, anything like post whatever, late 60s Woodstock. The 70s, it became, seemed like more of a business that everybody was getting involved in. And then recording technology
yeah,
made leaps and bounds, I think, by the end of the 60s into the 70s. So multi-track recording increased and effects and just the whole beauty of making recording music
mm,
was peaking,
right,
and I think it encouraged people to be even more creative. And what you ended up getting was you'd be on the listening to the radio, and on the same station you'd hear maybe a one-hit wonder band or a pop single, but within that you'd get songs like Aqualung from Jethro Tull and Roundabout from Yes and Carry On Wayward Son from Kansas.
Yeah.
Hotel California from the Eagles, Stairway to Heaven, and on and on. A Bohemian freaking Rhapsody would be. These are you could hit sitting on in front of the radio for an afternoon and get hit with all of that. That's insanity. Like you don't get that these days. That quality of music,
Mm.
songwriting, and inventiveness and creativity in rock radio was insane. You know,
Mm.
those are standout songs. Those are iconic standout songs, but it was almost normal to listen to, oh, it's Roundabout by Yes into Bohemian Rhapsody into Aqualung. That's like, those are tall orders. So I'm really glad that I was a younger kid exposed to music like that, you know, in the 70s. And it was, and you accepted it. It wasn't like, whoa, these guys are amazing. It was just like, wow, that's a cool song, you know?
Yeah.
And, and, uh, and my friends, for me, it all started with Kiss. You
Mm.
know, that was the first band, and I had a couple friends that they were twin brothers. I went over their house. They had a snare drum in front of their stereo with a cymbal, and they had Kiss records, and they were putting on songs, and they were both going playing along. And I was like, I got to try this. And then you know, I wasn't a drummer yet. I'm like 8 years old. I could go dit dit jet dit dit. I played along to a song, looked at the cover of the record. I was like, this is all new to me. Kiss, Kiss, Kiss. That was it. I was hooked immediately from that moment. Started buying Kiss records, and
Mm.
and from there got heavily into Aerosmith and Van Halen and AC/DC and Zeppelin and Rush and Foreigner and Ted Nugent and all the
Yeah.
killer stuff back then and Queen. Uh,
Mm.
and yes, and the Who. It was a lot of what your friends are playing, you know. But yeah, that was it. It all started with Kiss. So it was like really at the same time, Kiss and drums happened for me, like
Mm.
like right next to each other. And so I literally learned how to play rock drums from playing the Kiss records first. Like it was first Kiss, because when you're 8 years old, you don't have $5 to go buy a record. You got to save up. When you're a little kid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd save up and buy a Kiss record, and I'd go home and play to that record for months and months. Get another record, play to Kiss, play to Kiss. A couple of years, eventually, start getting other records and 8-track tapes and cassettes. And but yeah, it was actually looking back now that all this time has gone by. It was that was a really good time. It was so pure and innocent to be a little kid, and
Mm.
put your headphones on was another huge discovery.
Yeah.
Putting my headphones on and having the record player right next to me, so the headphones would mute the drums, my terrible sounding drums, but the music was loud and clear, so you could play along and hear everything, all the drums in the song and all the parts, and play along, and you could really tell if you were playing okay or not. And that's how I learned, and it was fun. It was an obsession. It never stopped. It was the thing to do. It was more important than anything. It really was. It was the coolest thing I could do, and it was more important to me than anything. Was playing drums, 2 records, and then I put them off, turn them off, try and make up my own stuff, challenge myself. I'm going to try and play exactly to the record. I'm going to try and improvise over the song. But it was all like, this is the coolest thing to do, you know.
No, it's pretty amazing that you've got a flair for two different instruments. You play the guitar as well as the drums. So, how much of it was? I mean, I did go through your background, and at some point you also had your formal education at the Berklee College of Music. But that being said, during the initial days, how much of guitar did you play, and how much of drums, and how much of it was self-taught, and was it primarily by ear, or did you have people who taught you a couple of lessons to fast track the entire process? What was that like?
Well, like before this Kiss drum stuff, those 2 years prior, I was 6, 7 years old. My
Yeah.
mom, we had a piano. My parents could play, and they would
Mm,
play and sing. And they could both like read music, I believe. My
yeah.
mom definitely could. I believe my dad could. So my mom put me and my sister at the time. I had two sisters then, but the second one was too young, I guess. But anyways,
Okay.
she put us in piano lessons, which I despised. I just had no interest in. But I did have to practice a bit and learn the basics of the piano and just basic stuff. So looking back, I wish I was into it more because piano's amazing. I wish I could
Mm,
play,
mm.
and I never put enough time into it. So it started with that, and then when I got into drums, I had a little like kind of a rinky-dink drum set they got me for Christmas, and they said if you take lessons, we'll get you a real set. So I started taking lessons, and they got me a proper drum kit. Uh, and guitar was always around. Around
Yeah.
that same time, my dad also could play guitar. He was a
Mm,
lefty. He was a
mm.
lefty, but he'd play a righty guitar.
Oh,
So he'd just
wow.
flip it upside down and play. And he showed me an E major chord. I don't know if this is in tune, but I was like on an acoustic with high action. I was like, meaning the strings weren't too close to the frets. I was like, oh, this is painful, but that's cool when you actually make the chord and all the strings ring out. Wow. Then he showed me G major. I was like, oh. And then he goes, I'm like, ooh, this is not easy. And he goes, here's a lick. And he
Yeah.
goes, check this out. He goes, right? I don't know if it. And I was like, that's so hard. There's so many things to do there. So he showed me Day Tripper. I put the
Mm.
guitar down. I didn't play it much. And then a few years later, I just became very interested in guitar. I just wanted electric guitar. I wanted to hear ah, and they got me a crappy little acoustic. And had a friend who could play guitar. 1980 now, seventh grade. Blizzard of Oz comes out, and I'm already totally into rock and to all these bands. But somehow hearing Randy Rhoads, it's like I got to learn how to do that. Started
Mm.
learning some riffs, Iron
Yeah, yeah,
Man, Smoke
yeah.
on the Water from my buddy. He showed me a blues scale. Showed me a, I remember he showed me a Phrygian scale. He goes, "This is Phrygian." I'm like, "Phrygian? What the hell?" But anyways, I got so into it. So by high school, I was playing guitar at times more than drums. Like I was
Mm.
playing all the time, but both. It was just constant
Okay.
guitar and drums, just learning, just trying to learn all the 80s metal guitar guys. Like I just put my cassette on, rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind, play, trying to, one note at a time. I'd listen to Revelation Mother Earth from Ozzy, and Randy would go into the solo and he'd go, and I was like, oh my God. And I'd sit there, rewind, play, and go, and I go, and I go, and I little by little, then eventually I'd be like, and I was like, that was so it was just constant drums and guitar. That was all through high school because of Randy,
Yeah.
because of Randy Rhoads, and because of Ingve, and
Mm.
hearing about music theory and
Okay.
understanding the basics of music theory from piano lessons just a little bit. Um, I was hearing about diminished and arpeggios and scales,
Yeah,
different
yeah.
like modes, and I was like, I remember reading something like Al Di Meola said Randy Rhoads uses the diminished scale very nicely, and I was like, Randy uses the diminished scale? What the hell's that? On the
Yeah,
guitar, it's
yeah.
like every third fret, whatever. So I took music theory in high school because I
Mm.
was just Ingve with his sweeps, all this and his classical influence. I was like, these guys are insane.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I took some theory in high school. By
Okay.
the time by the time I went to Berklee, I was already I already kind of knew that. So it wasn't like I went to Berklee like, whoa, what's going on? I had a firm grasp on music theory and playing guitar.
Okay.
So I understood, like if you're in C, the four chord, the five chord, how Ionian is related to Mixolydian. What I knew my
Yeah, yeah,
mode,
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it was just nonstop. I loved playing guitar, loved learning riffs. Man, God, I was trying to learn Van Halen 1. I was so bad back then, but I was trying. And
Mm.
still to this day, there's probably some little licks I do totally. Well, I fixed them, but for many years I was doing Eddie solo licks wrong and all this and that from learning it wrong as a kid. And yeah, so it's been nonstop. It's what I do. It's what I like to do the most.
Yet another interesting facet that you mentioned. while you kind of highlighted your pursuit and your journey so far, is the fact that you're multifaceted, right? You've got an equal flair for the guitar and the drums as well. That being said, when you think about music or when you think about composition, right? So what's your primary instrument of choice? Like what do you use first to create? Do you use the guitar, or do you think with the drums? How does your brain function?
Yeah, it's usually guitar. It's most of the time guitar,
Mm,
and every now and then you'll be on the drums and you'll play something that triggers something.
okay.
Oh, this is a good groove. That would be cool if I had a
Mm,
song doing that. But yeah, most of the time it's it's guitar. You can sit down with a bass, play some bass, and all of a sudden just a different kind of, the creative your ideas kind of come from a different place. That you react to the instrument. Like I said, I don't play much piano, but at all, I'm really bad. But if you just sit down and
mm,
just start hitting a couple things and go, you just never know. You just hit some
yeah.
chords with the tempo, and you go, that might be something. But most of it's guitar, whether it's a acoustic or electric, and
Okay.
yeah, but most of the time it's guitar.
Got it. I also wanted to talk about another interesting topic, which was quite general in the sense that a lot of drummers usually cite certain influences that shape their soloing style. I'd like to understand from you as to who are some of the drummers, perhaps outside of the rock genre, that have significantly impacted your approach to solo construction and improvisation.
Well, outside of rock,
Uh huh.
yeah, it's mostly rock guys. But if
Hmm.
you go into like the fusion world,
Yeah.
not just strict jazz, but if you go
Yeah.
into like fusion stuff,
Yeah.
or I mean, I just take it's like a combination of being in the moment, improvisation, what feels like is happening in the moment, what you feel like. And sometimes you go, I'm going to start with something that makes sense. And sometimes you go, I'm going to go to a place and see what happens.
Yeah.
And it could be, I could be watching some Max Roach or Louis Bellson that'll inspire me to put something like that in there. Or I'll listen to, I'm, I'm a fan of so many drummers and so many styles, uh,
Hmm.
and it's fun to try and grab stuff from all those influences and somehow incorporate it into what you're doing. And um, uh, I mean, Tony Williams, it's Steve Gadd. I mean,
Yeah.
these are all like such completely different drummers and then when they play, they have their own styles. And then the more heavy fusion stuff, I guess like I know Simon Phillips and Bosie are like rock, but
Hmm.
they're exceptionally
Correct.
talented drummers that when they play they're definitely not just doing rock drumming at all. So those guys were huge influences. Dennis Chambers, Weckl, absolutely love these guys. So there's always a little chunk of me that wants to incorporate that in what I'm doing instead of just like whatever you've heard it before, rock drum solos. Most of them I guess can kind of get a little boring or whatever. And I try, but I kind of default to like my favorite drum solo as far as construction, just as far as the overall presentation to drummers and non-drummers. So when you're listening to a drum solo and you're a non-drummer, how excited are you? Like, for me, I love listening to John Bonham, and if he
Yeah.
does a 20-minute drum solo, I might find it very exciting to listen to his hills and valleys and listen to him for many minutes playing a similar thing and building off of it. You know, Maybe non-drummers think it goes on too long, but then you get a guy like Neil Peart, who's super
Hmm.
well constructed,
Hmm.
and I to this day think his drums, most of his drum solos, I think are the best ever because he incorporates everything on the kit. A non-drummer can find it exciting. Drummers find it exciting. It's just so well thought out, and he's not going on forever. So he's putting it all in like 4 minutes. It's like whoa. Um, I love Tommy Aldridge's drum solos just for the sheer power
Mm.
of him just saying it's like a big F you, like look out, I'm Tommy Aldridge and I'm gonna knock this building over. Like I love it
Yeah,
because the
yeah,
first time I heard him, that's what that's what it sounded like to me. And I hadn't heard, he always starts out with the double kicks and just random craziness on top, but the kicks are like locomotion, you know, like a locomotive. Uh, it's just plowing down the rails and but
yeah.
then it's so simple, it makes so much sense, but it's like he did it. That's the guy I heard do that kind of thing first, and it's so sensible for sheer power. So let's try and put all those kind of things in there, and then you go to like somebody like Steve Gadd that'll sit there and get a funk groove and bring it down and start putting these little things in and developing off of this, and the intensity and the groove is so massive, and you're on the edge, like where's he going to go? And it's just super high level. Yeah, so I love all kinds of stuff. So it depends on what band I'm
Mm.
in. So what's the vibe of the band? Like, and how much time do I have? Where
Hmm.
can I go with this? And just try and you have your bag of stuff you can go to, but I wish I could play all the things I hear in my head. I wish I could just execute everything the way I knew I could if I really worked on it. So there's that frustration there, and then there's also um, the part of you that says, "Hey, I am what I am. This is how I play. This is it." But I want to push myself a little bit. Like,
Mm.
I don't know exactly because we can all default to our go-to licks that are comfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would never be happy with that unless I tried to push a little bit and go into something that is challenging and in the moment to me.
Mm, mm, mm. Funny that you mentioned about the energy factor. When you said that, this very quote by Slash, who's one of your collaborators and good friends, he mentioned that his fast playing is driven primarily by energy, and sometimes he wished that he could tone it back, right? So, given your own reputation for the powerful and often rapid playing, especially in your Bonham-esque performances, how do you approach the balance between unleashing that raw energy and maintaining precision and control in terms of dynamic variation within a solo or say in a particular song? How do you maneuver?
Uh, I think it's just experience doing it. The more you do it, the more like anything, every experience you learn from. And some of them might be better than others, and some of them you might say, I wish I didn't do that there. I wish I didn't, or that wasn't the smartest thing to do there, or I went for it and it was okay. And you learn from it all.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then there's that unbridled recklessness of rock and roll, which that's probably what Slash is talking about, which is super exciting
Mm,
to know that if I'm in the moment and I feel something, I go for it. It's okay. And I love Slash's playing, and I love since we all first heard him,
yeah, yeah.
he has that energy where it's on the edge, but his whole thing is very Slash. He has his own sound and his own character, and it's very distinctive. And I think that's just a part of his style. Whereas some people are so well thought out, everything's so nice, and that's great. It's very pleasing to listen to stuff like that. But playing on the edge and in the moment, and maybe not sure. It seems like he was talking about, maybe I don't want to go over the edge too soon or something. I don't want to have to lose control and go for speed and craziness
Yeah, yeah.
too much. Yeah, you just pick and choose your times, and like anything, if you're playing a set of music in your band, you know this moment is for this. This I do this. There I
Mm,
did
mm,
do that. But if there's a section of improv, man, you go in with the feeling in the moment and learn from it, and hopefully it works out. But I think it's all
mm.
what a great place to be. That's the other thing. It's a great place to be if you're not like Slash is his own boss basically, calls
Yeah,
his own shots, creates his own path, and does what he wants.
yeah.
Whereas I'm I was Slash's drummer. He paid me to play drums. I am there to make him happy.
Mm,
You know, like
mm,
everybody I work with, I'm a hired gun. You know, it's like I'm not there to worry about that kind of stuff. I'm there to make
yeah.
sure my boss is happy and that I'm doing my job in the band. And if I get a spot or in the band, there's moments where I can do stuff to challenge, to push myself or challenge. Cool, but I meant it's a great place to be where you can have a life as a musician where you
Mm,
you you will be able to push yourself as opposed to being, the hired guitar player in like a pop singer's band and every single night it's exactly the same and don't change. That's, it's very regimented and that's cool. You're still playing music, but I think most musicians want to be able to like, they want to be able to express themselves a little bit more, whether you wrote the song or not, that doesn't matter. It's like, are you in a musical situation where you can be yourself? I can be a chameleon and join this band or that band and hopefully make it sound how it should sound, in the
yeah,
drum
yeah.
department. And I like doing that. It's just to me, it's just like it's playing to records when I was a kid, But I also like when we do our Zeppelin cover band, It's like I love Zeppelin so much, and I don't play everything exactly the same. And when I get to solo, I don't try to play only Bonham licks. I'll start out with some stuff, and I'll go into some ideas, but then I just want to go into whatever I feel
Mm,
in the moment. And so it's a great place to be if you get to consider and have a have that type of perspective of being a musician compared to just being a hired gun doing the same thing, or you're going to get fired if you don't.
yeah. Another interesting point that you mentioned when we opened this interview discussion, as to back in the 70s, you had some amazing material in terms of the compositional element, right? So I want to understand from you, being an instrumentalist, are there principles of composition at work in the way you construct your pieces?
Sorry, are there what? Say that question
So
again.
are there principles of composition at work in the way you construct your musical pieces?
Do you mean like on drums or music?
I'm talking about drums. Uh,
Oh, I play if I'm in a band playing, as the drummer in the band, the main priority um, is playing what's needed for the band, and every situation is different. This band leader may give you the freedom to do this or that, to take chances or do your own thing. Some people, some gigs, you learn things kind of exactly how they were and stick to that formula. And it's really just being smart. It's like it's really simple. If you're in an AC/DC tribute band, you don't want to play play like Neil Peart. And if you're in a Rush tribute band, you don't want to play like Phil Rudd. It's not going to it's not going to fit. It might be okay, but it's not going to be what's needed.
hmm,
So I always just look at my surroundings and say, what's going on here? I'm playing with Gene Simmons now. He's not telling me what to play. We're
yeah,
playing old Kiss songs. We're playing
yeah,
covers. And but I'm such a fan of the stuff that I want to stick to what it was. But he's not telling me to.
yeah, yeah.
There's some obvious part I'm missing, and I'm doing something totally different. He might say, can you? stick to the big Detroit Rock City, maybe, or Love Gun. It's you don't want to go So certain things have to be what they are. But you know, so he's really cool like that, but that's trust. Like he hears how I'm playing, he
Yeah.
trusts it. He goes, okay, that's what you do. Good, I like it. All right. But in other situations, it's almost unspoken sometimes. Play what the show was before you were here. You learn it and stick to that. And don't start giving me a bunch of new drum stuff I never heard before you were in the band. You know, that's like being part of a band. You just have to be smart about what you're doing there. And then if you're talking like drum solo stuff, like we talked about, yeah, it's you just try and um, for me, I'd try to just take everything I have and also, like I said, be smart about being in the moment and what may work or not in the moment. And then constructing new drum parts, that's a whole other subject. If you're playing drums and you have to create parts, well, you can totally be an original, like you can totally go the Neil Peart, Bill Bruford route and play like where you're doing something that only you thought of that's not really
Yeah. Yeah.
normal. You
Yeah.
know, just that's which is awesome. Or you can go, this sounds like it should just be a big fat heavy groove and don't mess with it. So what
Mm-hmm.
kind of band am I in? What kind of song is this? What are we going for here? It's all about experience and being smart and just trying to be as smart as you can in the moment.
Hmm. Another interesting, observation is you started off listening to bands like Led Zeppelin and then Kiss, who were, very, very instrumental in kind of, molding your identity as an artist, right? Drawing upon all of these influences, and then today you are living the dream, playing with some of your musical heroes. You're playing with the Gene Simmons, experience. Uh, so, if I may ask you, what criteria or what does it take to be part of Gene Simmons' outfit?
Um, in my case, it was simply Gene being friends with my buddy Brent, and Brent and Gene have known. Brent's a guitar player that's known Gene for a really long time and
Yeah.
has worked with him in the studio and live, here and there over the years.
Hmm.
So Gene simply called and said, "Last year I have a festival show. Can you put a band together?" So Brent called me. Hey, what do in 2 months or 3 months? Can you do a show with Gene? Hell
Hmm.
yeah, let's do it. I want to do it. So that was it. And Gene trusted Brent. Oh, Brian's good, but it's all good.
Yeah.
And Gene's like, okay, I trust you. And I said, yeah, but until we get in a room and play, I don't want to think this is all good. I want to play with Gene and be in a room. I don't want to assume I'm in this thing. And then he changes his mind after he meets me. So we jammed and it went well and that was it. And here we are. And now we did a bunch of stuff in Europe last year
Hmm.
and we're continuing. In a couple weeks, we're going to start a tour all over the U.S. April and May. And then we
Okay.
have some scattered stuff developing. I know there's a festival in August and something in June, and things are popping up. So it's for me, it's it's nothing but fun. It really is just to play
Yeah.
because it's like I'm older, but some things are still heavy. Like some things still like you have to have meaning in your life. So this means a lot to me. It doesn't matter that, you know, I'm an older guy who has my experiences. I still have this place inside me that where it all started. That starts with the image of those four guys in Kiss and
Hmm.
those songs and the memories and the complete innocence and the the open horizon of like I don't know anything but this is amazing. That starts with Gene's band. So that means something to me. And I don't care if it means anything to anybody else. I don't care what anybody else thinks of it because it's just in my life, those are things that happened that affected me. And I still have a freaking Kiss poster on my wall in my studio upstairs, from the '70s, man. It's like, there's my boss up there, there's the demon. So, but I have total respect. Like
Yeah.
forever, he gets my respect for what he and his band and all those, all that music and that image, everything, how it affected me. That's what he guarantees gets in my life. He gets instant respect. If he was a bully and if he was, a complete dickhead or something, well, sometimes you meet your idols and it doesn't go how you want it to go. But that's not the case. So, but I also don't, get around him and go, like a total kiss ass, like, oh my God, you're Gene Simmons and I'm a little kid. It's like, but it's just a known thing. It's like, dude, I grew up on you and it affected me heavily, and so I appreciate it. Thank you for what you did in my life when I was starting out as a drummer and fan of music and all that. So it's all good, and I like that. I like it's can't. There's so many Kiss fans out there. You play with
Yeah,
Gene
of course.
Simmons, it doesn't matter. I don't care what band you're in. I don't care if you're in one of the biggest bands in the world. If you grew up on Kiss and you get to jam Kiss songs with Gene, it's cool. That's just how it makes us feel. It brings us back to being kids and all that excitement. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah. So that's always a nice to have those experiences. Whether it's Gene or I've worked with Steven Tyler a few times and
Yeah.
Aerosmith. God, I didn't see it. I don't think I said Aerosmith. They were massive to me as a kid, like such a huge influence. So to get to work with people like that is amazing because they had this great effect on you when you didn't know anything, when you were learning, and to be able to, put your time in over the years and then get to a place where you can actually hang with them and play music and be in a musical situation. That's it's nice.
Being being an on-demand session musician who's played in numerous number of projects, right? If I were to look at your background and the contributions, it'll take me months to discuss everything, right, in detail or to depth. That being said, when do you take that creative call as to you know say if you're touring with a particular musician, when do you decide on moving on to the next chapter, right? Because there have been like different phases in terms of your pursuit. You played in very interesting projects, but if I may ask you, when do you take that call as to jumping on or moving on to the next project? uh, is there something like that at all, right?
Yeah, that's also just going through life.
Yeah.
You got your life going on.
Yeah.
You're an adult. You got your career. Hopefully it's doing okay. Hopefully you're happy. You got bills to pay. You got to balance this out. You got your dreams. You got to
Mm.
balance dreams, bills to pay, what you're doing now, where you want to be.
Yeah.
And that's always been my life. It's always been trying to go. I mean, I guess for me, I've said it before. It's really simple. As a kid, like the top of the top of me was being your own band, like not hired into a band, your own band, selling out Madison Square Garden. That was always like
Hmm.
a band that gets there, man. That's just massive. And so if that's not easily attainable and it's not guaranteed going to happen just because you're talented or you write decent songs, you have to have all this stuff working together, like all these
Mm.
pieces, like the puzzle comes together and there it is and it works out. Not only are you that all working out, you have fans that you know
Correct.
come to your show in droves and
Mm-hmm.
sell out
Mm.
an arena. It's a tall order, but that's so. If I'm always going for that, you got to balance out. Okay, I'm in this band; it's really cool, but
Mm.
um, I don't want to only be this. Well, if I'm not in this band, I don't. That's my that's playing drums in this band. It's cool, but it's kind of I'm taking care of myself or whatever. But how
Mm.
long do I want to do that? How many years go by before I try to push myself a little further?
Right.
And sometimes situations come up. Sometimes, you're in a band and for example, I was in Foreigner for 2 years and I left Foreigner to go to Ozzy.
Mm.
But it wasn't like I wasn't happy in Foreigner. It was just I heard Ozzy was looking for a drummer and I got a chance to audition and I got it. And it was the whole Ozfest summer tour. That was a really big deal to me. I mean, I grew up on, like I said, Randy Rhoads, Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and Sabbath, of course.
Mm.
I mean, Sabbath was another big influence growing up. It's like all, so it's like I want to get. That's a big gig playing with Ozzy. That's just like huge to me. But then I went back to Foreigner years later. I always stayed good with Foreigner, and these are all experiences that until you're there and have to make those decisions, maybe you hadn't had to be in that position before. And I didn't want to. Well, I didn't leave Foreigner hanging because they had plenty of time and they didn't have like a lot going on at that time.
Mm.
And there's a ton of drummers out there that want to play in Foreigner. And like I said, it was all good, and I went back to them many years later, and I'm still friends with them. I still play with them, but yeah, sometimes it's just. I mean, I guess I've left bands when I didn't leave to join another band. I left
Mm.
bands because I wanted to be home more because I have kids,
Yeah.
and I didn't want a whole year to go by where I'm only doing this, like a whole year of my life. This is because when you're in your 20s, you're thinking of my 20s, man, and I got to get my shit together in my 20s. That's when and then you get in your 30s, you go, I didn't get all this stuff going. I want to get going. I got to do this in my 30s. Go in
Mm.
your 40s, you go, God damn, I got to get this shit together. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's what I've been chasing forever. I'm still chasing it. I'm still trying to get to a place I haven't been. And
Mm.
if I never get there, it's okay. I'm happy with stuff I've done. But like some people get in a gig and it's a good gig and they're getting paid and they're working a lot. They'll stay in that gig for as long as it goes. And I'm like, I didn't only want to be this guy for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I loved playing with Zach Wild in my 20s and Slash. Like that was an awesome, awesome experience. And we went around the world a couple times, played with guys that I absolutely love as musicians and players. Like love them. And today, to this day, here they are still at the top of the top as far as guitar players and stuff. Great experience. But them, I even told David Coverdale, like these are all people that I'm looking at going, they've created these amazing careers and they're amazing talents. And I'm playing with them. That's great.
Yeah.
But I want to be where they are, meaning I want to be able to, you know, call the shots and be the boss and have that you know, what do you call it? Like that the music that just I want to get just go further,
Mm. Mm.
And if the Slash band or the Zach band, if they kept going for years, I would have probably stayed with them for years. It wasn't like, oh, 1 year and I'm out. I never look at things like that.
Yeah.
It's just way out. You just got to weigh your life out, where you want to be, where you want to go.
Mm.
You know.
Mm.
So I'm gonna move the laptop with me
Sure.
to
Sure.
open the door, so my dog who's freaking out that's just got to go outside,
No problem.
rather than we're sitting here and she starts peeing on the floor.
That's okay. That's all right.
Come on, go, go, go. Anyways, good. Yeah, so go. You can go ahead.
Uh, no, do you want to like you can sit down and then I'll ask you the next question.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Based on some of the points that you just spoke about, another interesting thought that just occurred to me was, I mean, this is a very common topic that a lot of drummers have discussed personally with me, and I've had so many interesting musicians highlight this. So, considering the discussion around rhythmic contributions to songwriting and advocacy for greater recognition of session musicians, can you think of specific instances in your career where your drum part significantly altered or defined the direction of a particular song and where you felt that you could have been, recognized better?
No, not in my case. There's nothing where I was like, this made the song better, or without this part I played, the song wouldn't uh, exist as successfully as it is. No, no, I don't. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, does Bruce Gary from the Knack get publishing on My Sharona? I think Bruce passed, but like, coo, coo, clack, coo, coo, clack, coo, clack, coo. Like, dude, iconic, done deal. You hear that. Now, I guarantee you, maybe the bass player, the guitar player had the riff, bam, 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 right? And it's My Sharona. But who said to do that on the drums? Did Bruce, the drummer, say, "Hey, that's cool"? And they were like, "Got to do, get." And then Bruce went, "Hold on. Why don't I go just play it with you on the toms and the snare?" Who
Hmm.
knows? I'd love to actually know how that happened. But if he came up with the idea of starting the song with that drum beat, even if one of the other guys made the riff, if I was in the band and I wrote the riff, I'd probably want to give Bruce some publishing, because if he actually didn't just play a regular drum beat and came up with that tom intro, that mimicking the riff,
Hmm.
yeah, man, give him some credit, man. That's great because that took the song to another level.
Yeah.
If the knack started out with My Sharona and just went 1, 2, 3, 4, two,
Mhm.
cat, two, all right, we'd still be, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you hear, coo, coo, ca, coo, coo, you're like, yeah, here we go. It's bigger and better. And if Bruce thought of that, Bruce should get some publishing. He should get some songwriting credit because it enhances the song, made it bigger and better.
Hmm.
We will rock you. Coo, coo, ca, I mean, it stomps and hand claps. Who thought of that? Probably Freddie, but so it depends on the part. It depends on what you came up with. Um, Kenny Aronoff played that cool drum beat in Jack and Diane, that break in the middle. I don't know. They probably said, "Hey, you got 4 bars, I think it is,
Hmm.
to do a thing," and it's really cool. But I don't know. I don't know if that made that it made the song bigger or better. It's a really great part. I don't know if you took that out and they, or it's just something different. Maybe I think the song would still be great. But it's great as far as you know identifying Kenny, like hearing, oh, that's, they're like, who's this drummer? That's great. Um, but no, I think if you come up with something that helps the song become bigger and better, and I think drummers should get credit. There's tons of them. There's tons of it. Like, okay, before there was rock and roll from Zeppelin, and there was like I think it's called "I Hear You Knocking" from Little Richard, where they
Hmm.
got 1, 2, 3. I hear you knocking, but you can't come in. Does the drummer get credit? Because that was that rhythm there was a rock and roll rhythm back then, like that 1, 2, 3, bam, 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 Jailhouse Rock. That rhythm was "Ain't That a Shame." There's a 1, 2, 1, ba, 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 bam, ba, ba, bam, ba, ba. There's a lot of songs in that rhythm, so that was like a rock and roll rhythm back then, just like chord progressions.
Hmm.
Well, 1, 6, 4, 5, like that. That's like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Tons of people write songs with this book or the blues, 1, 4, 5. So I think it's a case by case thing. I think it's case by case. If who came up with "Walked His Way"? I think maybe Tyler did that because he's a drummer. Maybe he told Joey. I don't know who wrote the song, or did Joey come in and do that? If Joey came in and went, "Psst, that's iconic," he should
Yeah.
get some credit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But
Yeah.
if Tyler said, "Joey, start the song off. It goes "darga-da-ganka, I want you to go pss, pa, ba, boop, boop, ba." And Joey did it. Well, that's Tyler's idea.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's case by case, but it's an
Fair.
interesting subject.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Another interesting subject that I wanted to discuss with you was again we discussed a part of it, but I'd like you to elaborate more on this particular topic. The physical demands of rock drumming, particularly in a live setting, can make it challenging to maintain consistency in terms of hits over long periods of time, right? So, how do you
Yeah,
approach the mental and the physical aspects of achieving consistent power in terms of the hits? Uh, in terms of different elements in your drum kit.
it's a lifetime of drumming. It's unleashing energy and aggression,
Yeah.
but also being concerned with groove. It's
Yes.
also knowing how to hit properly. I teach a bunch of lessons whenever somebody asks me and I'm available. I teach, and I've been doing it for a long time. And my whole goal is just to make somebody happy at the end of the lesson, learn something that makes them feel like they've they got their money's worth, and inspires them to want to, if they feel they've done something
Yeah.
uh, that they haven't yet realized or done before, and I can bring that to their attention, and it helps them get better, great. That's the goal. And there's key things I look for. And I noticed stuff immediately. But for me, it wasn't like I didn't. I put a lot of time into technique, like just hand technique, especially at Berklee. When I went to Berklee and I was around a ton of drummers that were great, it was
Mm,
so inspiring. Like there was never an excuse not to practice.
mm,
Never. You're
mm, mm.
constantly seeing everybody kicking ass and practicing. So I did spend a lot of time like on a lot of different things. It's a lot of time on a pad, but the live energy, everybody's their different everybody's their own person and has their own personality and how they think about things. I love energy and I love recklessness, but I also love organization. So I like if you're playing loud rock, and I grew up with the headphones cranked,
Yeah.
playing loud rock,
Right.
the vision to me was always massive. And the
Mm,
first time I walked into an arena at Madison Square Garden and saw Kiss at 11 years old, just the sound I had never heard before. I never heard what an arena sounds like with rock and roll and drums in an arena. So to me, that's always there. I am aware that I don't have to hit this hard. I don't have to go. But if you let me, and I can, and it makes sense, oh, it's so fun. It's
mm,
so fun. And it's just years and years of doing it and feeling it. Yeah, you feel physically, you know, burnt out a bit after a show, but I like it. It's like, yeah, man, I did something on that stage in with this band that I just can't go do anywhere else. Like I can't just go sit down on my drums and it's live, there's an audience, you're performing, it's
yeah.
loud, it's rock and roll, it's exciting. This is what I do. This is what I've always done. So I want to unleash this energy. It's just fun. And like I do the same, I could do, which I'm not proud of it. It's just, it's a fact. I can sit down right now at 30 years later down the road compared to the 90s or something, which I'm just like, God damn, how did all this time go by? But I can play the same way I played in my 20s. Like, I'm not like, oh, I don't, my mind will not allow me not to. Talk to me in 10 years, I believe I should be able to still do what I'm doing now at the same level. I can't see it unless I have some crazy health issues. It's like it's kind of like Tommy Aldridge, you just see him and he doesn't change, and it's amazing when you really think about it. But then I go, yeah, but I just think mentally that's where he's always been. That's just this guy. That's how he does it. He's Tommy Aldridge. He plays with his energy. He can't not play with that. And if I'm playing with Don Felder, from the Eagles,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're playing a set of Eagles, mostly Eagles stuff. That's a different vibe, man. I'm not, and that's why I like playing with him. Hey, the songs are amazing. Don's killer. Grew up on the stuff, but I'm chill. I'm mellow. I'm not. God, it doesn't call for that. It calls for groove and parts and taste and fitting in. And don't make a
Mm,
big deal about yourself. You just get the job done. But I like it because it's a different type of attitude behind the drums. It's a different type of focus, different type of energy. You're not sweating and going for it and swinging and making it. But it's not. But that's why I like it, because it's like I'm playing something that if you've seen me play drums, you might think, oh yeah, he plays hard and hits hard, and well, come see me play with Felder. I'll play the hour and a half with him, chill, and right up to the end of Hotel California, man. That's when I might dig in a little bit, because it's like the end of the show and it's one of the most iconic songs of all time. It's
yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
But 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 yeah, you just have to do it. You go through the calluses, you go through injuries, you go to catch a cymbal and the cymbal goes under your nail, you're like rips your freaking nail apart. You hit your knuckles on rims. God, you know how many times how many beds in hotel rooms have blood on the pillows and sheets because of my elbow? Because I'll be like, wow, wow, and I go, wham, crash the cymbal, bam, hit the side of the hi-hat with my elbow. Crash. Oh man, it's all bleeding and I don't know it. And then like see blood in my bed. But on the sheets and stuff. Sounds kind of gross, but really, I mean, it's just an injury, little cut. But I'm saying it's you go through all that and you experience it. Man, I've had sticks break, pop, and like literally make my eye bleed. Like I'll
Mm,
hit the drum, stick breaks, bam. I'm like, oh, it feels like somebody just went crack in your face, right? And you got to keep the beat, you know. And those are all experiences that get you comfortable playing live. Like I expect when I go out with Gene, I'm going to be breathing heavier when we first start playing. We sing, it's all live, no click track, no in-ears, it's all monitors on the stage. And we're playing, I set the tempo, which is I love, just like the 70s. Hey, no click track. The drummer has to be the timekeeper. Great, that's my job, to find the good groove. But and the singing's a different thing. Like if you're trying to play aggressively and sing and nail your parts, which I sing in almost every song in the backgrounds, it's a challenge. But then your body gets used to it. You do a few shows, get some calluses going. It's just it's fun and it's not fun because there's been times on tour where I literally can't open a door. Like I can't open the door because my hands hurt so bad because there's so many like blisters. They're not calloused yet. They're blisters and they're like ready. They're ripped apart. Oh God, it's you're where you got to wear gloves and stuff. But I love digging in. I don't have to. Drums don't sound better when you hit them hard. There's a certain point, that's a whole studio thing, and I've learned it. And I do my engineer myself in my own studio. I totally know the difference. You'll have a snare sound a certain way when you're hitting it a little bit under medium. Like that's sweet. Then you go to track and you have a little more energy and you dig in. All of a sudden the snare lost that color. I'm like, ah, shit, man. But live, I just love playing loud rock and energy. I love releasing energy and groove. God, that's the other thing, man. All this talk doesn't matter. None
Mm.
of it matters if the groove isn't there.
Yeah.
That's the key. So, like you said earlier, it's a long answer I'm giving you, but like I always do this in interviews, I talk, the answers are too long. But you can't be like, oh, I'm gonna smash, 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 and you lose the groove. It's good. That's the art. Is the balance, like making it look comfortable.
Mm.
Tommy Lee looks powerful, comfortable, badass when he plays. It's just this big, powerful thing that's flowing. Morgan Rose from Seven Dust flows, power, energy.
Yeah.
Tommy Aldridge is just like, there's so many great drummers out there for so
Yeah.
many reasons. But those are the first guys that come to my mind when I think of just like a really relaxed, powerful, um, you know, complete experience that you're watching. When these drummers play, uh, and making it look fun too, like having fun.
Mm.
It's because that's why you know even
Mm.
before groove, we didn't sit down drums because you sit down because you love drums. Why? Because they're fun. Something about them's fun. So there's always that. That's one thing I never forget. It's like, dude, drums are the shit. Like they are. Music is the shit. Drums are, but like to sit down and be able to spend so far pretty. It's a struggle. Music business isn't easy, but at least I've had a life where I can take care of myself playing drums. Told me that shit when I was 10 years old, I'd be like, whoa, that's amazing. Because you don't
Yeah.
know this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
and I didn't work at it like I just wanted to do it. Just do it all the time. So yeah, it's fun to release energy. But I love I love it. I love mountain biking, racquetball, whatever, sports stuff. Just release energy, competitive. I challenge myself, not just I'm a sore loser when it comes to like racquetball and sports and stuff. Oh man, I'm a really, really sore loser because whatever, it's just the way it is, because I blame myself. But I'm also hard on myself when I play live or in the studio. I'm just like you're not going to tell me things
Yeah.
I'm not hearing. I hear it all because it's me and I've been doing it my whole life. So I hear every inconsistency, every mishit, everything that wasn't where it's supposed to be, and it bums me out, and I always want to play better the next show. I got to make the next time I'm on the drums.
Yeah.
I sit down and improvise, just sit down and play. I expect myself to play all these things flowingly and with no mistakes. That's I expect it, but it doesn't happen. So I'm never really totally happy with myself, and I'm not impressed with myself, at all, because I've been doing this so long. I should be. That's why I want to watch a guy like Weckel. I'm just like, I love listening to him play. I love watching him. It's just so fluid in every idea, and it's high level shit. But I love the sound he gets from the drums. I love his groove. I
Oh my
love how
goodness.
he
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
and his sense of improv. And he's been doing this shit for so long.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I was a kid at Berklee in September of 1986 when Weckl came with the Chicory Electric Band to
Ah,
Berklee Music College, and Weckl did a
nice.
clinic, and Tichy and Gambaldi were with him. And he was 26 at the time. I was 18.
Hmm.
26, and I just got turned on to the electric band. I played that record so much. I didn't play to it. It was
Yeah.
way beyond me. Like I'm a hard rock metal drummer at Berklee,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm.
I might know how to play in 7/8 from a Rush record, but this is Weckl with Chick Corea.
Of course.
And I remember the standout song though, dude, was "Gotta Match." Boom,
Hmm.
ba da boom, ba da boom, ba da ba 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 boom, ba da boom, ba da dude. Come on, it's just awesome.
Totally,
And
totally.
just so I still see Weckl online. I'm just like, it's just
Yeah.
one of the best on the planet. Just everybody has their opinion, but God, what he does behind drums, what he does as a drummer is so high level and it's so fluid. It's just that's yeah, that's a life dedicated to becoming what he is, you
For
know?
sure, for sure. I can
Yeah,
completely relate to whatever you said because I emceed at the Chennai Drum Festival. Chennai is a city in India, in the southern part of
yeah,
India. So he was the main guest who was invited at the festival, which happened last year, and I got to witness him in a room like this. He was a few meters away from me, and it took him nearly 2 hours to just ensure that his kit is in place and he gets accustomed with the kit, with the the drum kit in terms of his seating position,
yeah.
and he ensured that the sound guy gets every attention to detail spot on. 2.5 hours is what it took for him to start a rehearsal session. So
Because
I
he knows what he
yeah,
wants.
yeah,
Like, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like he
yeah,
knows what
yeah,
it has to be.
yeah,
That reminds me of Simon Phillips.
yeah.
Simon's a master studio
Correct,
engineer. He's
correct,
a master drummer.
correct.
He has his way and he knows what it should be. Let him do it
Of
and let him
course.
be Simon Phillips and let Simon Phillips come out on those drums or in the studio.
Yeah.
I've worked in the studio. He's recorded me playing drums on a Derek Sherinian record many
Oh,
years ago, which
nice.
was very intimidating because he's one of my idols.
Yeah,
But he's
yeah.
such a great guy. But I've
Correct.
also, become friends with him. But I also know his knowledge of studio equipment, gear, microphones, preamps, Pro Tools, like high level, how to record drums. Like he mixes records. I mean, he's a badass, and it's a lifetime of
Yeah, yeah.
he's put his life into this, and
Sure.
like Weckl, and
Of
the
course.
results are so impressive,
Of course.
and yeah, and whatever it takes. There's a part of me that has that side, like that focused side of knowing exactly what I want. Then there's
Yeah.
this more like rock and roll side where it's like, dude, if you want me to just get up on that drum set and go, I'm ready. Like I
Hmm.
like that too. Like I don't care because I've done that. Like it's a separate subject, but this was as far as the craziest thing I've done on drums back in 1999 when I was in Foreigner and we
Mm-hmm.
were touring with Journey. It was
Okay.
like amphitheaters in the summer in the States,
Uh-huh.
and we played LA, and the next day we were in Reno, Nevada, and it was like this outdoor like big lot of like 17,000 people, um, and we get up there and Foreigner always plays exact same time, play it
Yeah.
an hour, and then
Yeah.
Journey.
Journey.
Right before we go on, Dean Castronova just started playing with Journey. Dean's badass, right? Dean, I
Yeah.
um, just met him back then. Management comes up and goes, "Can you play the show?" Dean heard whatever. He's not here when he had to go to the hospital or something. He hurt himself. I'm like, Foreigner's about to go on. Like we're 5 minutes late. There's some confusion. And I go, all right, I know like the first 5 or 6 songs of your set. We've heard them on tour.
Mm.
I know a bunch of Journey songs, but I don't know. So I was like, all right, I will. I'll try. And they go, great, great. Uh, whose kit do you want to use? Yours or Dean's? I go, I want to use Dean's, but the Journey logos because I don't want my Foreigner kit on stage. It's going to bring more attention to me. I don't want to be looked at. Just put the Journey kit up. So that was my point. Foreigner plays. I come off stage right in the Journey's dressing room. Neil Sean's like telling me the set list, and he's, you know, the song. I go, I don't really know that. And he goes, starts off, dan, 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 dan. I'm like, manager's like, come on, we gotta go now. They go, put on the your in-ears. You'll
Yeah.
hear Jonathan Cain's voice, and his pre-recorded voice is going to say separate ways. You're going to hear the click track, 1, 2, 3, and that's how. And I just went up, sat on Dean's kit, double bass kit, cymbals everywhere, totally different than my kit,
Yeah.
and just went for it. And the first song was Separate Ways. So I hear separate ways, 1, 2, and I and whatever, and did the whole freaking Journey show. There was some
Mm.
train wrecks. Like
Mm.
there was some big screw ups, but there was some shit that was okay. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
at the Neil goes, he goes before we go on stage. He goes, "We'll drop, Don't Stop Believing. We won't play it." I go, "No, no, no. I learned that song from the Steve Smith, drum video.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned the beat. What is it? Wait, oh, it's a down, 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 whatever." So I was like, keep that in there any way you want it. Love and touch and squeeze in. Big train wreck and wheel in the sky because there's a stop and there's a big fill to go back in the chorus. And I stopped because Ross is like, here we go, stop. And I'm like, okay. And then you're supposed to go, do the wheel. And all of a sudden the lights underneath the drum risers go, they're flashing because I'm supposed to be doing a fill, but I'm sitting there, no, not doing the fill. So it's like, stop, flashing lights. And I go, then I hear them go, the wheel, and I came in on 2, the wheel in the sky. So it was like some stupid
Yeah.
stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, it was an experience, man.
Mm.
You want an experience you're gonna learn from. Go on
Yeah.
stage with Journey in front of like almost 20,000 people and play the whole damn set, except a few songs, and never have played on that drum set and played to a click. That's
Crazy.
experience. You know what I mean?
Mm. Mm.
I yeah, and they were happy, and it was
Mm.
for the most part it was good.
Yeah.
But and if you gave me that next day off, 1 day off, I would have fixed every freaking mistake. Came in the next day, because because now you're fully focused on everything you did wrong. Like it's all in
Yeah.
your head. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
fix
Yeah.
all that. But yeah, that was a crazy. So, but that's that part of me. You're in a club, somebody goes, "Hey, jump up and play." I don't. Oh, it's not my drums, or I got to. No, that makes that makes you gives you that ability to like kind of live on the seat of your pants a bit and
Mm.
adapt quickly, to situations because there's no excuses. Nobody out watching you play wants an excuse. Nobody cares about excuses. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm hungover. Oh, I've got an ache. I've got a pain. Oh, we're jet lagged. Oh, I didn't sleep enough. Nobody cares, man. You got to get up on
Mm.
stage and throw down. And to me, that's rock and roll. Like you got to perform that show. I mean, hey, you could be in my Miles Davis band. You could be Tony Williams and Ron Carter and Herbie, and nobody cares either. Then, oh, I'm all screwed up on drum. Nobody cares. Play like it's music. You're on
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
Perform. You better be badass. Nobody wants to hear your stupid excuses. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's really important. It's so that, and if you do it if that's your life and that's what you've been doing your whole life, to me, I have no excuses.
Mm.
If I don't play as good as I should have, or as not happy, it's my own. I don't blame anybody else except me. Don't you have a bad day? You had some bad stuff happen in your life. You got to put it out. You got to, you know, unless if you can use it to your advantage, you can use something that fires you up a bit, whether it's something that frustrates you, or something that pissed you off, or something that saddened you. If you can take that energy and use it positively, great. That's also another form of you know of that big picture stuff of life experiences, and using what's going on around you as a benefit.
You know
But it's
what,
all good.
Brian? Yeah, yeah. You know what? The first time I discovered you was through a DVD, the Made in Japan Whitesnake concert, right? That
Yeah,
happened where you have this exceptional drum solo that me and my dad still talk about till this very day, where you're
thank
playing
you.
with chopsticks, you're playing with your hands, you're playing with knives. Talking about, I can relate from whatever you said based on your sense of adventure. but
Can I
very
can I can I- can I
yeah.
jump in there just to
Yes,
let you know
yes, yeah,
because it ties in exactly what we're talking about.
yeah, yeah,
That chopstick stuff and that knife stuff,
yeah.
that wasn't practiced ever before that video. Like
Okay.
that was David Coverdale saying to me. He used to call me Tishmeister. He go Tishmeister. I go, yeah. Yeah, what's up, DC? He go, when we go to Japan, you have to use chopsticks in your drum solo. And I go, yeah, man, that'd be funny,
Yeah,
right? So I
yeah.
tell a buddy of mine, and he goes, if you're gonna use chopsticks, why don't you get some Ginsu knives too? So we
Mm.
get to Japan, and I tell her assistant, I go, hey, for the show tomorrow, can you get me some chopsticks, some Ginsu knives, and a Japanese headband? You know, and I send her a message. I get backstage and there's chopsticks, the Kitsu knives, and the headband. So I put the headband on. I take the knives. I've spun knives before, like sticks. We all drummers spin cutlery. If I had a fork here, I'd show you. I'm a pretty good fork spoon twirler, like
Yeah.
very. But anyways, chopsticks. What am I gonna do? I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Uh-huh.
I know some people don't know this. I thought every drummer knew, or just when I was a kid and I take my pencils on a desk, these may not sound right, but if you
Mm.
hold them tight and you move them up and down the edge of the desk, they create a flange sound. Like, see if you can hear it. See if I could do it here. Wait, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to do this. That right? You do that with two pencils on the side of a desk in school. It's really cool flange sound. So I knew if I hold the chopsticks and I do that, I'll get a flange sound. So I'll just do that, whatever. Throw them away, and then I'll get the knives. What am I gonna do with these damn knives? Okay, I'm gonna hit a rim and a cowbell. At least I can dig in. I won't ruin the drum heads. So that was all one take, first time. It's nothing special what I did. I just went whatever I did, and that's it. But it was just fun. It was just fun to do.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was going to be a DVD. Like I didn't
Mm.
know that show was going to be a
Correct.
live DVD, but it was, and I'm glad. I'm glad that it was captured for that and released because it was a lot of fun to play with Whitesnake and David, and he was very supportive.
Yeah.
He'd tell me to go longer with my drum solo.
Yeah.
I'd pop sticks in the air, and he'd be like, "You gotta keep doing that." He was very, very, very. He was great to work with, and it
Mm.
was a
Mm.
lot of fun.
Mm.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
um, I think the drums ended up sounding pretty good on
Of
that
course.
DVD. Like the
Of course.
snare drum. At the time, I was using this company, Natal Drums, which are owned by Marshall,
Mm.
but they got me the kit right before the tour, and I was with Tama for a couple of years, and I had
Mm.
these Tama bell brass snares, 6.5 bell brass, and they sounded great. And the Natals, just the drums were totally cool, but the snares wasn't getting what I wanted. So
Mm.
that bell brass, that's a Tama bell brass on that show and that tour
Mm.
sounded
Mm.
pretty cool. And I
Mm.
believe Doug Aldridge, the guitar player at Whitesnake at the time, I believe Doug mixed that, and I think he did a really good job. I think he got the
Of
drum
course.
sound
Of
pretty
course.
rocking.
Of
Yeah.
course. Of course. Well, we witnessed the power of your drum solos from India, confined to our little sound systems here. So I'm sure it was impactful. That being said, I wanted to understand from you as to while crafting a particular drum solo, you did a lot of interesting things, right? But very often, I was having this interesting discussion with a very reputed drummer in India, wherein he said that it should never get to an extent that it becomes a circus act, right? So how do you kind of, I know you do a lot of things
Well, one
spontaneously.
person's
Yeah.
one person's circus act is
Yeah.
the other person's average. So it
Right.
depends on what you define as a circus act.
Right.
Some people,
Right.
you know, there's many different levels.
Correct. 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 But according to you, what is good enough, and what can be presented to the people, and how does Brian Tichy bring that flavor to the people of the world when it
If you're
comes
gonna
to
let
this
me do it,
subject? Yeah.
no, if you're gonna let me do a drum solo in a big like
Yeah.
arena, there's this band Bees in Japan. I played for the summer of
Yeah.
2019, and they're a big
Yeah.
act with pyro and
Yeah.
stage props, and they gave me, you get a 2 minute solo or something like that, a
Hmm.
1 minute. But I made sure to make it visually. I started out fast, a little double bass shuffle, and then some this and that, and I pop a couple sticks because you're in an arena, it's a big stage, it's visual. Make it,
Yeah.
put on a show. But I also want to play stuff that's cool. I mean, it doesn't have to be, oh, I worked on this stuff at Berklee, like
Hmm.
because I've learned over the years, even though I worked on stuff I still use, sometimes the brilliance of single strokes and accents is all you need, a la Neil Peart. When he'd start his solos out on the snare, a la Buddy Rich, but he was just doing single strokes, dude, it's beautiful sounding. It's amazing. And
Hmm.
nobody cares if he's doing patafla caravan, blah, blah, blah. They just, they hear the rhythm, the
Yeah.
sound of the drum. So just balance it. But I want to put some stuff in there to show that, I've practiced. And I want to put some stuff in there that's, I guess visual. And it all depends on the band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're like a chill jazz drummer,
Mm-hmm.
that's your thing, and you're known for that, and you're amazing at that, and you go to play in an arena rock band, they might ask you to dig in a little bit. They might ask you to get visual, and you've never done that. So maybe that's not part of your, you know, bag of tricks. It's not in your, it's not in your toolbox. You ask an arena rock drummer to chill out in a jazz tour and like small venues that's not, you know what I mean? Then there's
Yeah.
the guys that can do both, the Steve Smiths and stuff like that, that you'd see in an arena kicking ass, and then you'd see him in Vital Information
Yeah.
killing it playing jazz.
Totally.
So
Totally. Yeah.
um, yeah, it's just, Tommy Lee's a circus, but when you
Hmm.
go to see Motley Crue, you want that circus. Peter
Hmm.
Criss was kind of a circus with Kiss, you know what I mean? But you want that. Tommy Aldridge, some may say he's a circus act, but man, look what he's doing. Bonham's Bonham, but he wasn't really for the majority of his career in solos. He wasn't like swinging and going crazy in tricks. Keith Moon's a circus. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
love Keith Moon for what Keith does.
Correct. Correct.
So everybody, it's Stuart Copeland to me is the excitement when he
Yeah.
plays. His style's so unique, but when he
Hmm.
plays, I can almost consider that a circus just because there's so much random excitement, and you just see that he's just in the center of the music, and he's ready to take chances and react to everybody. He's thinking about so many things at once, but his style's a style. I mean, it's very entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why we love so many different drummers. There's so many great
Interesting.
things to love.
Very, very interesting to know this side of how you perceive it. Uh, and I also wanted to understand what systems or methodologies do you use while laying musical pieces out? Is there a particular way you do it?
You mean for learning music?
Uh-huh.
I, I usually make charts, like drum charts,
Yeah.
because just the act of listening to a song and charting it out, it's kind of ingrains it in your head a little bit more. And
Mm.
then all the details are there because I don't want to think I'm going to remember everything by ear.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a tall order. Sometimes you're learning a full set of music or you're
Correct.
preparing for a record. So most of it's live. It's most of the
Mm.
charts are, or in the studio, somebody sends you tracks. I'm going to have my drums. I want to make my notes and have my thoughts or the answers right there. So when I go
Yeah.
to play,
Yeah.
I'm not second guessing myself. I want to, you know, so yeah, that's usually what I do. Whether it's somebody else's music or mine, if I'm recording some of my own stuff, I make notes to myself. So it's like
Mm.
these are
Mm.
things I don't want to forget. I don't want to just sit here. Maybe I'll remember 80% of it, but I want to know the details on the other 20.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you spoke about your framework of laying down charts and doing all of this, right? But again, you've also been very actively involved with Drumeo. You've been doing some interesting, programs for Drumeo as well.
Yeah.
And they've started this all new series wherein they have drummers who reimagine different songs, right? We had Dennis Chambers who did like his take on Schism. We had
Yeah. Yep.
Mike Portnoy and a lot of other interesting people. What I wanted to know was when they're given very limited time, right, just to listen to the song, and maybe in the initial set of episodes, I don't think they were given enough time to kind of lay it down in a chart. They could only do it by ear, right? They could just
Uh-huh.
listen to the song, and then they had to kind of grasp and then grab onto all those elements and do it, right? So
Yeah.
how would someone like you do it with that limited amount of time? Like, what would be your approach, or how have you done it in other instances? I was very curious to know, right? Like, how do you guys do that?
Um, well, like if you don't have time to make a chart, maybe
Yeah.
you'd sit there on your snare drum and just write a couple little notes down.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, I've done it before where you're in a rehearsal or a songwriting situation
Yeah.
where somebody's throwing the music at you.
Right.
Hey, this goes like that. But if you literally say, here's a song, play
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, what kind of song? Are we talking, something with like a Rush or a Tool song with a lot of parts? Are we talking like a pop song? If the drums are like you mean with the drums in the song, right? So you're listening to
Yeah.
the whole song with the drums.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just you do the best you can. I mean, there's no uh, what would I do? I would listen and retain. That's it. I just listen and retain. Make logical, okay, this is 8 bars long. It does a fill into this. This goes to there. It goes to the ride here. It does this. So the kick pattern is this. Oh, there's ghost notes in the snare. Oh, there's a fill here. Then you just start learn as much as you can. Are you going to
Mm.
remember everything? It depends on the song. Are we
Mm.
talking Highway to Hell or are we talking Tom Sawyer? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's I'm not going to remember Tom Sawyer. If I never heard the song before and you give me Tom Sawyer, there's no way I'm gonna no nobody's gonna remember all that. But if you give me a Highway to Hell,
Yeah.
okay, it's a beat and then it goes into the chorus and then there it stops and goes into a verse. Yeah, so it all depends. But you just retain that. But it's what it's the first time you buy a record. As a kid, I buy a Van Halen record or Aerosmith's new record. Let's give Aerosmith a buy Night in the Ruts from Aerosmith. Nobody barely's into that record, man. And if you haven't gotten into Night in the Ruts, you should because it's such a great record. But I remember I was excited for the new Aerosmith record to come out, Night in the Ruts. I start listening to it. As soon as I listen through the record, I get on my drum, start playing to it. You know what I mean? And just making mistakes and trying to remember things. And yeah, so I've been doing it my whole life. It doesn't mean I can do it perfectly or I can do you know, I think I could do it kind of like maybe above average as far as retaining, just because I've been doing it for so long.
Mm.
And maybe having knowledge of other music instruments helps you, like with arrangements and hearing chords go by, and so you're not just listening to drums,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you can hear, oh, the chord changes, or there's a little musical thing that brings you into that next section, which gives you a little flag to do something. Yeah,
Right.
but yeah, they're I've seen a bunch of them. It's totally cool. It's fun to watch. They
Yeah.
weren't
Yeah.
when I did Drumeo a long time ago. Now it was back in 2018. They weren't doing
Yeah.
that then.
Correct.
I was just happy that Ludwig sent that amber acrylic kit up and we got it sounding pretty good in the studio because I was worried like I can tune it, but if you guys don't record it well, it's not. You know what I mean? It's not. It might not have the impact might not be there,
Yeah.
but yeah. So most of it sounded good, and I
Mm.
don't think they ever had a kit sounding like that in Drumeo, which that's what I really liked was that
Mm.
it stood
Mm.
out. Like if you're gonna sit there and talk Zeppelin and Bonham triplets and play this kind of kit, it better it better sound different than a regular kit. It better
Yeah.
sound
Yeah.
like those kits can sound, you
Of
know.
course. Of course. Let's talk about the most interesting topic for today, which is your solo record. Firstly, why? I mean, not maybe not why, but it's taken you a while to put out this solo record, and of course, you've been caught up with your pursuit as a session musician, doing a lot of these interesting projects. So, I want to quickly understand as to how much of your involvement in terms of different instruments can we see in this particular record, and give me an overall landscape of it.
It, it's been years and years of procrastination,
Yeah.
uh, and a balance of the focus of making your own record versus playing in bands versus other projects versus life versus paying bills versus raising kids, and all that stuff.
Okay.
But since I was in high school, it was writing music. You know, I always
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
it. I had a band, and I loved it, and
Yeah.
recording, always in college, and then in my 20s, and by like 1998, I had taught myself, finished up a bunch of songs on guitar, vocals, melodies, had
Yeah.
a band, and
Yeah.
was going around Hollywood and playing clubs. And I
Mm.
was hell bent on not being a drummer and fronting my own power heavy guitar riff trio. You know,
Yeah.
the hardest thing is singing because
Mm.
I don't have a cool voice.
Mm.
So I have to force singing, and I'm not a great singer. I don't just like sing and my pitch is killer, and it's just like I like Dean Castronovo, amazing singer. Sounds like
Yeah.
freaking Steve Perry.
Yeah.
It's insane. Peter Criss, Phil Collins, Don Henley.
Don
Like
Henley.
these are,
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, are these
Yeah.
badass drummer singers? That's
Truly.
not me, dude. What's his? Jesus Christ, what's his name from Grand Funk? Oh God, I'm forgetting his name right now. Duh. Um, it'll hit me later. And who else? It's Roger Taylor from Queen. Even the dude in Mastodon, he sounds cool.
Mm.
You know, Brand, I think, singing and playing. Another influence. You know, Dave Grohl, when he goes, so like I don't have this great sounding voice, so it's always, but I stopped caring back when I started playing out. I was like, I just got to go for it.
Yeah.
I want to do it. I just want to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting a deal in Japan. I got a deal in the States. The Japan record
Mm.
came out. The States
Mm-hmm.
label went under. But then I had kids, and I was trying to get a new deal, and it just life changed, you
Yeah.
know. And started playing with Billy Idol for many years, writing with him, go into this, go into that. Started a project with Sass Jordan called Sun, where I was playing guitar, but she's an amazing bluesy, raspy, killer singer.
Right.
And but I was happy to write with her because it was fun. Like we were doing this,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
our own music. Then I
Mm.
started a band called Silverthorn with the singer Pete Shoulder, who's just such an amazing singer. These are great singers. I can't
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
compete with them.
Yeah.
But these projects, either they didn't go as far as we'd want them to financially or the label or for whatever reasons, budgets, you know, it's just like it's a hard freaking business. But
Mm. Mm.
I'm like, man, I have all these demos, all these songs. I didn't want to just go back into my demos, re-record like, but I'm starting somewhere finally. After all these years of procrastination, I'm like, now I'm like kind of in the thick of it, which is a lot of fun. So I have a studio at my own house. I love recording my own drums. I love it. I love getting my own sounds. I've been doing like I start to think I've been doing Pro Tools for like 22 years. I don't I know what I'm doing. I can work fast editing. I know how to engineer. I know how to run stuff. I'm not brilliant with microphones, but I know how to place mics and get sound. I know how to get tones. That's like, you know, that I like. I've always try and get tones I like, you know. I love recording guitar. I love getting tones, acoustics. And so I just started digging in. I just picked a song. It was like, oh, I had this demo, and it was never really fully thought out, but I think it's a good start. It's a big riff. It's an energetic song. It's a good groove, blah,
Mm.
blah, blah. So I started. I'm a few songs into this solo record. I'm going to play everything on it. I'm going to sing. I'm going to scream. I'm going to try and make it work. I don't use auto tune. I rarely play the click tracks unless I have demoitis, which on the song I'm working on, I loved the demo had so much time put in it. It was a song with myself and Derek Sherinian, the keyboard player. Derek, you know, been
Yeah. Yeah.
friends for a long
Of
time.
course.
Well,
Yeah.
he heard this little thing I
Sons of
wrote on.
Apollo. Mm.
Yeah, exactly. So
Mm.
we've done a bunch of stuff together, and he heard this thing a long time ago. This little open C tuning thing. It was very Zeppelin-y,
Mm.
Floydish. He's like,
Mm.
dude, that needs the pipes of pan. It needs these pan flutes. And he wrote this like Stairway to Heaven. I was like, dude, that's perfect. So we wrote the song, and it just sat there, and it went
Yeah.
through the everybody that heard it is like, this is really nice. And then finally, he's like, dude, you got to put that song on your record. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's got to be done. So we were in the thick of, dude, it's got rotary guitars distorted, two six strings, two 12s. He just sent me like 20 tracks of keyboards and strings and moogs and all this stuff. And it's massive. And it's
Mm.
like, so I'm going to ruin it by singing over it.
That's insane. That's insane. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a fun thing, and I'm like, man, I got no excuses, and I'm sick and tired of sitting here. Everybody else, all my other friends are putting on their own solo records, and I'm
Sure.
sitting here like, "Ugh, I write songs. Where are they, dude? What are you
Yeah.
doing?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just want to do it, and I don't care what anybody thinks. I've got most of it's heavy, not Meshuggah heavy. I absolutely love his Meshuggah, but even if I tried and I could do Meshuggah, it would just be like, oh, dude, you're such a Meshuggah wannabe. So
Mm, mm,
summer, it's just big, heavy riffs, a la old Zeppelin, Sabbath, Soundgarden, whatever, Rage Against the Machine, power groove, energy, and I don't care about radio and I don't care about like pop. It
mm.
just want to make big, heavy stuff and groovy, and maybe there's some lighter sides, but I just want to put it out in which I'm going to. I'm gonna, get it done and see what happens. Put it out, see if I can get a little distribution deal, and then this will be the first of many. And for the rest of my life, I have no excuse not to keep putting my music out and have have that be a thing that I do. I don't, as opposed to I have to have a band and play out and get a deal and we're a band. Just put music out because at the end of the day, I love recording, and when you hear something and it sounds close to how you heard it in your head, it's very, very fulfilling. So
Super.
just want to do it. Yeah. So I'm going to do it. I think Derek will be the only other guy on it, just because of his keyboards on this song.
Yeah.
I could get guest stars. Oh, I've got this famous singer and this guitar duel with this guy or that guy. Like I could do that, and that's not what it's about. Like I want to play it all. I want to play kick-ass bass lines. I want to play kick-ass guitar solos. I want to have cool freaking guitar sounds, good drum grooves, and scream on top of it. Yeah.
Amazing. We can't wait to do an India premiere of whenever that release is scheduled for. Let's have another round of elaborate discussion on the solo record once it is coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it's
Yeah.
done this summer. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
because I have some open time in between Gene stuff
Nice.
and when I'm home now, it's a lot of fun. Once
Yeah.
when you get something started and it's moving,
Mm-hmm.
and you see that things are kind of okay and good,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
yeah, it pushes you to want to do more and more,
Right. Right.
so that's a good place to be because it's taken me a long time,
Correct.
uh because I've second guessed myself on
Mm, mm,
style, really style, like,
mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like I love so much different stuff, but then I watch Zach out there. I know Zach can play tons of different styles, but Black Label is mostly heavy riffs and him be power. Like that's you.
Yeah.
eh, He can do. He's done other stuff. He can do so many different styles, and he does. But the meat of it is that. And I'm like, he's not second guessing himself where he doesn't put out music, and that's what I've
Mm,
been doing. Oh, should I be this or that? Just put
yeah.
it down, man, and it's just a part of who you are.
Correct. Correct. One last question for today. Down in the distant horizon, what would you like to be remembered as?
Um, a preserved moose. If you don't know, that's from Spinal Tap. That's the bass
Ah,
player. They go, what would you
right.
like to be remembered? It says, I think something like when you go to a park and you have that moose sitting there as a statue, and then the interview goes, so you want to be remembered as a preserved moose?
Crazy.
Oh no, man. It doesn't matter. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter, man.
Yeah.
Like uh I've thought about it before,
Yeah.
like you think about the big picture. Anybody that knows me, I just wanted to say it was like, he seemed to, he went for shit and he was a decent guy. Like, if you know me. If you
Mm,
don't know me and you thought I was an okay drummer, that's great.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then there's the rest of the world that doesn't give a shit. And I don't give a shit because we're all gonna die. And when we're dead, nobody knows what happens at all. And even if you think you do or you think it's going to be, it doesn't matter. When you're gone from doing this in this body, you leave behind what you did, and
Mm,
you better have been happy with yourself first. Did you go
yeah.
for shit hard enough? I haven't yet. I've tried, but I haven't gone hard enough. Have you worked to push yourself to a point where you said, I didn't think I could do it and I did it? That's life. Because when it's done, we're not going to sit here chatting anymore.
Yeah.
Some may think we're all going to be chatting somewhere else. Some may think they're starting another life as an
Yeah.
animal somewhere. I
Yeah.
I don't care. I only know that here I am now, and I feel this way as I exist and live and breathe on this planet. And when it's done, unless Hey man, there's Muhammad Ali's and Bruce Lee's and George Washington, and the list goes on of people of the Beethoven, Mozart. Come on, it's like amazing people.
Mm.
Those are people that will forever be talked about, and that's awesome. And that is that that little piece in a piece of sand, grain of sand on the beach. That's that amount of people. And if you just accept, man, I want to do good. I want to take care of my stuff. I want to have fun. I want
Yeah.
to prove things to myself. Um, I'll be remembered for the effort I put into what I wanted to be by anybody that cares. The truth is, most don't care. I like that you care that enough to write me and say you want to interview. That's cool. That's great. Somehow I did something somewhere that you saw and you're like, cool, that's great. But um, I got a long way to go. And maybe things will change in the next 20, 30 years or whatever and get better. I hope they will, like as far as going for success things in your head, and
Yeah. Yeah.
achieving dreams. Because
Yeah.
your dreams, it's so easy to say the word dreams, but dreams are goals. Like, it's just my dream as a kid
Mm.
was
Mm.
Madison Square Garden sold out with my own band.
Yeah.
Come on, man, that's a tall order.
Mm.
I don't know that many people personally that started their own band and got to Madison Square Garden with it. I know a lot of people that have done it,
Yeah.
you know, but like personally, like in my life,
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's it's so you just keep going you go for the dreams. Hopefully you get closer. And then when it's over, hopefully people that are aware of you. I don't mean like, yeah, it could be friends, family, fans,
Mm-hmm.
acquaintances, people, just hopefully you weren't a dick. Hopefully you were, hopefully when they were around you, you inspired them, you made them happy. It was positive. We all hate those people, man. Like I've heard it, man. Don't hire him. He's a bummer. All he does is bitch and moan and complain. He's a great drummer, but man, on the road, he's a bum. Like, dude, you don't want that. You know what I mean? People
Mm.
don't want to be around that. It's like certain people come into a room and light it up.
Mm.
Dimebag Darrell,
Yeah.
Kenny Aronoff. Why has Kenny been working so steadily with so many bands? Comes into a room and he's positive. He's ready to throw down. He's a good guy. You know what I mean? Gets the
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
done. He's a
Yeah.
great drummer.
Yeah.
He puts the time in. He's got no excuses. It's that so that's it. So
Marvelous. Marvelous.
you
So
were, but I think with all that said, yeah, even if you remember me as a preserved moose, that's okay.
great. That's a great answer for a closure. I hope you enjoyed being on Stalwarts of Music. I
It
hope you
was it was a total pressure.
had.